Today's March 12th, 2021. The reading for today is Joshua 1 through 4. Or no, 5 through 8. Let's see here. Now, this was in verse 2. Darn it, I forgot my glasses. In verse 2, it says to circumcise that... Shoot, I don't have my glasses. Okay. Verse 2 says that Joshua was to circumcise, but now it says for a second time, the Israelites. And I thought, well, what does second time mean when I first heard it in the King James Version? Well, what happened was, it doesn't mean circumcising for a second time. It was circumcise the children who had not been circumcised while they were wandering around in the desert. Because everybody that had originally come out of the men, not the women, apparently they didn't circumcise the women. At least I hope they didn't. They circumcised the boys and the men when they... Was it before they came out of Egypt or right after they came out of Egypt? I don't know when the circumcision thing happened. But then the children that was born during their time in the desert had not been circumcised. So the Lord said to circumcise them. Now I would think all the damage that could be done from not being circumcised, for the women, it would be urinary tract infections, yeast infections, all the types of infections that can happen from the Famunda cheese, especially considering that there was no regular bathing, daily bathing units where these people were going. Remember, it's a desert, and they really didn't know. God can claim he knows, but this was not, there was no real reason given for circumcising. Just that God said to do it. So, so I would think all the urinary tract infections, yeast infections that could kill or, permanently dismantle women, the damage had already been done. So, whatever. Anyways, so that's what it means when it said, circumcise a second time. And I don't know why they weren't circumcising these children in the desert. This part of the story makes no sense to me because they had already had the law to circumcise. And God was condemning the people for all other sorts of stuff. Why wasn't he condemning them for not circumcising if they weren't circumcising? This story makes no sense to me. Anyway, so here we come to Jericho. Here's one part of the story that we rarely ever hear in Bible class. Now, it says, while Joshua was near Jericho, he raised his eyes and saw one who stood facing him, drawn sword in his hand. Joseph went up to him and asked, "Are you one of us or our enemies?" He said, "Neither. I'm the captain of the host of the Lord, and I have just arrived." And I like how people just believe, when it is the Lord, they just believe that it's the Lord, when it supposedly is the Lord, but other times they become dubious. I don't understand. What is this, a gift of discernment? Then it says, "What has my Lord to say to his servant? Remove your sandals from your feet, and the place in which you stand is holy." Now it said, and I think this is the man still speaking, this person with the sword. Because it says, "Now and to Joshua the Lord said." Well, is it the Lord or the captain of the Lord? What is this? I don't know. Captain of the host of the Lord. Well, 3 times removed, I guess, from the Lord. And then it says, this is where the Everybody's supposed to circle around. Oh, no, this just says soldiers. I was told it was everybody, all the Israelites. The soldiers are to go around around the city of Jericho, circle the city once per day for 6 days, including the Ark of the Covenant. Well, it says carrying ram's horns ahead of the ark. I'm assuming that just means the whole Ark of the Covenant. I don't know. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times and have the priest blow the horns. They give a long blast on the ram's horn and hear that signal, and all the people shall shout aloud. The wall of the city will collapse, and they'll be able to make a frontal attack. So that's apparently what they did. Now, one of the caveats was, do not take anything, in your greed, don't take anything that's under the ban. In other words, you can have your sex slaves. They're against prostitution, but not sex slavery. It's only wrong if you pay for it. Now, forcing somebody, well, a woman, to have sex with you is not wrong, but paying her to have sex with you is wrong. Now, you see how that makes sense? Rape, not wrong. Prostitution, wrong. And in prostitution, the prostitute will be stoned to death, but in rape, nobody dies because it's not a crime. Anyway, so then Jericho fell, blah, blah, blah. Now, chapter 7 this is really convoluted. Now, there's a city called Ai. So, in other words, God committed another genocide. God's just taking the Jews around so they can commit genocide. So, now here we're coming to Ai. And here's another thing. They're going to go try to commit genocide. And, and I'm not really getting this. Like, it says Jericho was basically destroyed. So what the heck did they conquer Jericho for? Because the city was destroyed. The walls were destroyed and everything that's coming down, I'm sure it destroyed the city. Let me see, did it say they destroyed the city? And like when they're raping and killing and taking all their cattle, I'm sure they did a lot of damage, because this is just a gang raid. A bunch of thugs running through the city doing whatever they want to do. I'm sure they destroyed a lot of stuff. But then, even then it says, they didn't stay there. So what was the point of that? Just going and killing people and raping? Giving excuse for, thuggery? So here we go with chapter 7. So now they're going to go and genocide Ai and commit more gang activity on Ai. And what happens was they send in some people. It says 3,000, I believe. Yeah, 3,000. Because the spies who went in there ahead of the soldiers, the Jewish soldiers, said that there's not that many people, 3,000 should suffice. So they go in there with the 3,000 people, and I think it said they only killed 36, but the Ai people, what is it? Aians? I don't know what you call these people. But anyways, so it says like they kill like 36 or something. That was it. And anyway, so then Joshua went to the Lord and said, why do you do this? We should have died, pity party, whatever. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to genocide all these people and rape the women and take them as sex slave and kill all the children and take all the animals. I wasn't able to do that. Oh Lord, please help me. Sounds like white men now. So anyways, the Lord said, the reason I didn't allow for you to win is because somebody in your camp, one of your Jews, have took some stuff that was under the ban. The King James Version said, oh, I can't remember what word they used. It was a real weird word. Anyways, there was something under the ban that they took. So that's why they didn't win an AI. God didn't let them win an AI. And so then God says, you need to go into camp and clean that all out. And when God says clean that all out, he means kill the person that did it. And probably a lot of his family who had nothing to do with any of that. Innocent bystanders. But isn't all of the Old Testament so far been about killing innocent bystanders? Anyways, it's definitely pro-genocide. Anyway, so next morning Joshua got everybody together and finally Achan admitted his guilt. He says, I took some stuff out of there in my greed, and instead of just killing everybody and raping all the women and stealing all the stuff and destroying the city, I took some stuff. Now that was wrong. The rape wasn't wrong. The genocide wasn't wrong. But stealing the silver, what was it, silver and gold? One was supposed to be mantle, whatever a mantle is. And now that was wrong. That was wrong. You can rape the women, take them as sex slaves, genocide the whole city. But stealing the gold instead of giving it to the cult leader Joshua, that is an unforgivable crime. And they took him out and they stoned him. And they said now the King James Version says they stoned them, so I'm assuming they stoned the whole family. Collateral damage, I guess. But this one, it's in the New American Bible, it says him. I think they're trying to clean this up as much as they can, which is very hard to do when the Jews just committed genocide on 2 cities in this daily reading. Okay, so the next day, or the Lord then said, who knows how much longer, go ahead and get AI of delivering them up into your hand. Do what you did into Jericho. I think this one, it says, okay, so Jericho, apparently they were supposed to kill everything because it says you may take a spoil and livestock. In other words, you may take sex slaves and the livestock as booty. So I guess they had to I guess everything got destroyed in Jericho, with Jericho. So they did that, and what was it? I think this was where the woman Rahab, what was her name? I think they called her the harlot, but Rahab. I think this is where Rahab was. Or was it in Jericho? Well, wherever Rahab was, yeah, that was in Jericho. I forgot to mention Rahab. They did take Rahab out of Jericho. I forgot to mention that. Usually I write this stuff down so I don't forget little details like that. But Rahab and her brothers and her parents who were in the house were saved. And they ended up living with the Jews, and they stayed with the Jews. And apparently they didn't treat her as a sex slave. They didn't say they were, so I'm assuming they didn't. But women were treated like crap back then anyway, so maybe it didn't even matter to them. Let's see. Joshua kept the javelin in his hand. However, the Israelites took for themselves the booty and the livestock. And they hung Ai, and if I'm not mistaken, they threw a javelin at him while he was hanging on the tree. I think. But anyways, it doesn't really, details don't matter. God is a God of genocide. This was genocide. And close curtain on that. So here's a necklace I made with Mike's Hard Lemonade bottle caps. Simple thing. I'll put it for sale. I'll put a link on the description. The battery is about dead here, so got to go.